Today, I'm going to be trying to do something crazy. I had the dumb idea, try and make a hardcore EP in a day. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to document it. I thought about trying to live stream it, but I just know I'm going to be interrupted too many times throughout my day in order to live stream it. So I'm going to try it this way, but I plan on doing more projects like this in the future. So maybe we'll live stream it next time. But I put together a playlist. I called it Riffage that I made yesterday. Well, I started making yesterday, and I was just jamming all the hardcore music I could find, that even bands I never listened to, so just ingrained in my subconscious, fresh. So we're just gonna go and make a hardcore EP and then document this. It's gonna be epic. So let's get started. All right, so we're gonna make a new folder just so I have all this stuff ready. I'm just gonna call it Hardcore Album for now. And you have a blank folder that we need to fill by the end of the day. I did also forget to mention that I plan on writing songs based on Lord of the Rings, like the lyrics for this EP. So yeah, there's that. So when I get to writing the lyrics, I already have one idea of writing a song about Gandalf and his battle against the Balrog. I plan on using kind of really popular memes from Lord of the Rings as breakdown callouts. So I think I'm gonna begin that one of the songs with "You shall not pass," you know. So that'll be epic. So, but then I had an idea as I was just listening to some of the hardcore albums yesterday. A lot of them just like talking crap. So I'm gonna be like, I'm thinking of a song like just talking crap about the Balrog, and I don't know. I think it's gonna be epic. So yeah. Whew, this is the hardest part of blank grid. Luckily, well, first of all, I actually need to open up my preset just to save a little bit of time. Okay, when I made a preset, I had a bunch of stuff on it, so I always have to like delete it, so it probably doesn't save me much time. Okay. Blank grid. This is my enemy. I must destroy it. My computer's taking a while to load. It's pretty early morning, so it's still waking up too. If my computer could have coffee, I would give it some, because it'd probably help it. All right. We got some beatdown presets, punk, death metal, and when I say hardcore, I'm just trying to simplify my songwriting process. So first of all, one principle about hardcore, well, at least a lot of songs, they're really short, like 2 minutes max. That's why I thought I could make an album or an EP in a day, because I've literally written like a 10-minute song in a day that was actually like more like melodic death metal. So if I can do that, you split that up into 2-minute increments, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You know, that's 5 songs. So I'm sure I can do it. I also have grindcore, emo core presets, deathcore, like a lot of stuff. I'm thinking of going like classic, like hardcore, either that or youth crew, hardcore, warrior toms. I'm thinking I'm gonna start this song with some toms. All right, so working on the song here, kind of working on a riff. It has a sick idea. I still haven't got it up to time where I can play it up to time, but I'm gonna play it for you real quick. Oh, now I gotta remember it. Okay, let's try this again. That's a sick riff. All right, so I just finished the first song the instrumental, and we'll come back and write the vocals. I feel like I'm not going to be able to get the vocals done today, so this video might be titled, "Can I make a hardcore EP in 2 days?" I don't know. We'll just do whatever I think of. But it's almost 7. I've got one song done. I took a little more time on that song than I planned because I wanted to do that riff, and I took forever just practicing it. Finally, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna slow the song down a little bit so I can get that riff in there. It still sounds great, but like at the BPM I had it would have taken a long time to get it down because it was so fast. For that many notes, it would have been like even at just 132 BPM or whatever. I mean, I would be doing it like kind of like double time. I would be doing the riff that way, but it was fast and it sounds sick. I still have it and it sounds sick. Song's done. I was gonna try and keep 2 minutes as a maximum, but I ended up being 3 minutes. But I basically just repeated the breakdown to make it longer because I wanted to change up the breakdown just for like one last, breakdown. This is hardcore, so it's gotta have breakdowns, okay? So yeah, gonna start on the next one. Better go refill my coffee first. So. All right, I'm working on the second song. Actually, a ways into it. Actually, almost a minute and 30 seconds into it. Actually, probably about a minute and a half, actually. Let's see if I check where I'm at. Yeah. But working on a sick riff. Make sure you can hear it okay. Working on the breakdown, I thought I'd do like kind of more of a, the really fast technical breakdowns. Most hardcore is like kind of more slow and sludgy. Not always, but I thought I'd switch it up a little bit and then throw it in a more techie one. But this is what I'm working on. I have like the main breakdown, like just the chugs. But then there's gonna be a part where I do this, which I'm gonna play it for you now. I have this BPM slowed down a bit because I was practicing it. So do some harmonics in there. It sounds pretty sick, actually. Practice it a couple more times. It's fun what you can do with harmonics if you kind of experiment a little bit. So sometimes you think they're just all the same, but you experiment just even in one position where harmonics are, and then you still get different sounds. Like, listen. Like, that's not a very clear harmonic, but it sounds cool. Like, if you want clear harmonics, like, there you go. But they sound cooler if you do them a little bit differently each time. I like doing these ones up here because they're not as like clear as these ones. So you kind of get some different sounds with them. That stops about right there. So it sounds pretty sick. So what I'm doing is haven't quite got it down. So the actual BPM is this. So I got a bit of practice to do there. Alright, so I know like when I started this video, I said I was going to do like a hardcore EP. And that's my intention. This is my version of hardcore, I guess. I'm trying really hard to keep it simple. Here's a riff I'm working on, okay? This is my version of hardcore. It's more like metallic hardcore. Like the sort of like the first wave of metalcore, you could say, was metallic hardcore, where it was more riffy and more heavy, and then there's like subgenres of metalcore. So it's confusing. But this is more riffy right now, okay? I know I messed up a bit. Try again. So, I'm keeping it as simple as I can. What idiot thought it was a good idea to try and make a hardcore EP in a day? Me. 2 songs in, and it's 11:30. Took a little bit of time to spend with my family this morning, breakfast and stuff. I think I stopped at around 10, maybe. But I'm averaging about 2 hours a song. So we'll see if I get this done. This is 12, 2, 4. So if I keep that average, then I'll have the EP done, at least the instrumentals, done by 4. If I pick it up, I could do 3 more tracks. My goal is at least 4, you know. But if I get past that, then I'll keep going, you know. I'm just focusing on instrumentals today, so I'm not actually going to get it all done in a day, but at least I'll have the instrumentals done. Then tomorrow I can work on vocals. So, I'm going to keep grinding this out. Alright, what is up? It's day 2 of writing my hardcore EP. Finished all the instrumentals yesterday. I didn't document as much as I planned on doing, just because when I get in the zone, I'm just like, I need to change my attitude towards creating content, because it's obviously something all artists need to do. So I just knocked them out. 5 tracks. I was planning on just doing 4, but I decided if there's a shorter track, you know, that's gonna be kind of like the intro track. So gonna be working on lyrics this morning a bit, and hopefully get to the vocals today. I don't know if I'll get all the vocal parts recorded, but we'll see. I could say writing an EP in 24 hours, because obviously I haven't gotten it done since I started yesterday, but I spent, let's see, maybe 7 hours on it, on writing. So I still got a lot of time if I were to do it that way. Maybe I'll do it like that. So but I'm gonna kind of do something a little bit different with the lyrics. Normally I like to share my own stories. Not always. Like I've talked about some stories a little bit in the past, but I'm going to draw inspiration from Lord of the Rings, but it's not as much going to take a storytelling perspective. Maybe it might. I'm kind of coming into it with a general idea of what I want to do, because sometimes it just, if you kind of just have a general idea to start with, it just goes. And I try not to like control where it goes, because that's how I found that I can tap into my subconscious, which probably sounds all like weird, but artistically, it's how I express myself in the most genuine way, is by not trying to control what's coming out. I just want to create something, and I have a general idea of what I'm trying to do. That's why I try to absorb as much as I can. Like yesterday, I was watching Lord of the Rings, and some of the time where, you know, I was not able to work on music, but just, I finished Return of the King again, but my toddler was watching, so I was skipping the violent parts. Anyways, and before that, when I had this idea, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna absorb as much hardcore music as I can, because it's like, it's something I've always enjoyed, but I've never really dug into. So I made like a massive playlist, and it's not all hardcore. Some of it is straight up heavy metal. Some of it is like more like metallic hardcore, metalcore, if you will. But I just really like that, and I was just, to be honest, I was going for, when I wrote this, the instrumentals, it's more like, I was going for just straight heavy metal, pretty much, with breakdowns. So it would be metallic hardcore, pretty much. But I might just say hardcore, I don't know. That's what I was going for, but there's a lot of riffs. A lot more riffs than hardcore, you know, it's just a lot of like beat down stuff. Like there's some of that, but there's also more of the riffy kind of hardcore. So, but lyrically, taking inspiration from the Lord of the Rings, I don't know if I'll really take a storytelling aspect. Bands have done that in the past. Usually it's power metal bands that do what's called Tolkien metal. It's actually a thing. It's actually a genre, a subgenre, where people are just writing music about Tolkien's world. And I mean, there's a lot to cover. There's not just Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. There's the Silmarillion, which is just full of stories. And I think there's an even bigger thing called the history of Middle-earth. But I might kind of do what I normally do and go back and forth telling stories, and then kind of inserting myself in the story maybe a little bit. But my goal is to write about things that the Lord of the Rings has taught me, kind of from more of like a personal development standpoint, which probably sounds like crazy to like some people to consume fantasy and stuff to escape, but for me, like, I draw so much inspiration for like how to be better. So yeah, how to be a better person, and you know, just I've drawn a lot out of the Lord of the Rings. You know, it's like ingrained into me and into how I live. You know, it's like, it's part of how I live, you know? I live with certain mentalities that I've kind of gained from it. Like, I have a couple of song ideas I've written down already, just names of the songs, but what was that? I have some good ideas, so I'll kind of try to record more as I'm writing. All right, so I have some name ideas here, and I might brainstorm a couple of more. First one I had, they're all kind of like, as I was watching Lord of the Rings last night, I'm gonna try and do it systematically. Like, I plan on doing more EPs about Lord of the Rings, and maybe in this way or whatever, but I was thinking about calling the EP One Riff to Rule Them All. I don't know if I will or not, but that's just the idea I had when I started a Google Doc with the ideas on it. So I was like, hey, let's do one riff to rule them all. Just to be like, I'm trying to let loose a little bit with this EP and have some fun with it and just go wherever I want to go with it, kind of. And I was gonna take a more comical standpoint, like, you know how Lord of the Rings starts out, the world has changed. I feel it in the water, something like that, I don't know. I was thinking, I started writing one, I was like, the metal has changed. And going from there, but just talking about metal, but I don't think I'm gonna do that, at least not with this one. But the ideas I have here, whispers of a nameless fear, are all kind of like quotes from the Lord of the Rings to prompt kind of song ideas. And so what I was thinking I would do with that one is talk about, you know, what I've learned in life about fear and in dealing with it, and basically learning to face your fears, which I've kind of written about in the past, but I could take more of like a Lord of the Rings standpoint. I don't know, just writing down ideas. And the next one is concerning hobbits, and I thought about taking the approach of like, in the beginning when Bilbo's, you know, he's talking about hobbits, and he's like, it's no small thing to celebrate a simple life. And I was like, you know, there's something there, you know, I could write about maybe. The road goes ever on and on. I think there's actually a song in the movie, and I don't know if it's in the book, but Gandalf's singing it whenever he comes into Hobbiton. Road goes ever on and on. Then I thought I could do, you know, this is a good hardcore like song idea, kind of officially labeled a disturber of the peace. And I could just take the beginning part off and just call it disturber of the peace, and take the approach of like what I've learned in life about like going against the grain, you know, in a lot of senses. Like when I see a lot of people doing something or saying something or following a certain way of thinking, my natural tendency is to just go against it, because a lot of times like no one's really thinking about why. They're just doing it because everyone else is doing it. So I thought about taking that approach. That's a really good theme for a hardcore song. So yeah, and then there's burden of inheritance, kind of exploring how Frodo inherited the ring, and then it was his burden to bear, and then he felt that, you know, it was his responsibility to destroy it. Taking that approach, like how we all inherit good and bad things, it seems like, from our families, you know, good and bad traits, or good and bad habits or ways of thinking. So I thought about, you know, writing something about that. Then I had an idea that I wrote down far off tales and children's stories, because that's something one of the hobbits say whenever they're gossiping in the Green Dragon, and just talking about what's going on in the world and stuff. And I don't know what I would do with that, but it just seemed like a good idea for a song. I don't know. And then there is bonds of fellowship, which I thought about writing about, you know, about fellowship, and how we kind of like, I don't know, it seems like our lifestyle today just is like very isolated and very lonely, even though there's a lot of people. So I thought about talking about that. So there's some of the ideas of where I might go with this, and kind of bring it back as I'm working on some of these ideas and working out actual songs with them. I just get so in the zone, I don't want to like step out to start recording. Went a little bit of a different direction. I didn't know where it was gonna go. For the first song, Whispers of a Nameless Fear, it's gonna be like the intro. So I started out kind of like with a contrast to like the beginning of the Lord of the Rings. Like where totally blanking out on her name for some reason. Galadriel is narrating, and she's like, the world is changing and all that, So I start out with, the world is still the same. We suffer pain and blame. A God we don't believe for the hell we create. Whispers of a fear without a name. So that's like the intro as it's like kind of building into the first breakdown, riff, whatever. So that's kind of like what the song explores is, I think a big aspect that's neglected in today's society and among Christianity is personal responsibility. And it's when I'm trying to think of how I want to say this. I'm trying really hard not to be like a super critical spirit in a sense, because I just see that a lot on the internet and I hate it. So I might change up the lyrics a bit to be more introspective, but what I'm really going for is trying to get people to look at themselves. And the idea of the song isn't really like, it's more to get people thinking about the things they're doing in life that they could change, all the things, all the consequences they suffer because of the choices they make. And I just think personal responsibility is so neglected, and it's in Christianity, it's kind of, there's just been a really big overcorrection with the church throughout history, because they understood personal responsibility, but there was a they didn't, I feel like, I can't really speak for them because I don't know all of Christian history. Like there's centuries of theology and all that to dig through, and I don't want to go super deep on that because, not all my fans are Christians, but for the Christians, I like to explain some things because, just to kind of help you understand where I'm coming from, because some people, they don't want to do the work of trying to understand, and then some other people are genuinely trying to understand. So I want to help the people who are genuinely trying to understand, and the people who are just lazy and don't want to get lost. But just kind of going at it like, so many of my own brotherhood live in fear, and they try to mask it as a fear of God, and it's really not. It's a fear of darkness, and it's a common saying among Christians, and I don't know if they got it from the Newsboys band or if the Newsboys band got it from Christians or whatever, but dark and light don't coexist. It's a catchy phrase in one of their songs, and it's like, well, yeah, but God is an all-consuming light. He's here to consume the darkness. He's here to go into it, and not go into it, but just destroy it, It's not like they just stay separate. Like death is swallowed up in victory. Where, oh death, where's your sting? Oh grave, where's your victory? Do you read those words and think about them? Jesus died to destroy the grave. Do you get what that means? I'm doing all sorts of weird hand gestures. It means he consumed the darkness. It means his light consumes the darkness. Dark and light don't coexist, yeah. Because light eats it, okay? Everything that is done that is wrong, God is going to turn for good in some way or another. Okay, so I'll share some of the other lyrics. Sacrifice your life on the altar of fear. Take no risks, play it safe. Subject of demons, tolerance of tyrants. Give them residence in your heart. Give them all they want. Give all yourself. So I'll keep going because the song kind of explains my thought process here better than I could just kind of, chiming in and talking about him. Till there's nothing left, puppet of nameless fears, shadow dweller, awake the flame. Let me shed some light on this darkness you bask in so proudly. You don't fear God, you fear the devil. On him your thought is bent. My God is an all-consuming light, and he'll turn every evil into good. You don't believe because you worship hate and fears without a name. Servant of shadow and flame, all your heart and thought is hell-bent on the Balrog of Morgoth. Which is just, in Tolkien's story, it's an embodiment of, evil, in a sense. It's an evil creature, okay? So I'm just saying that as in the sense of or it's spoken of as some kind of demon, So that's what I'm saying here. So I speak a lot with allegorical language. Darkness and fear of demons, the weapons of your worship. Fears nameless and unnumbered. Among them there is none for the God you claim to serve. Break down the altar of nameless fear. And that's the end. So yeah, there's that. So now I'm gonna go into the next song. Can take that out of there. Got some other ideas, but I might throw in some more song ideas and think about some more song ideas. Got 4 songs to write, and that was the shortest one. But yeah, that turned out well. It's taking the approach that I want to take, where I'm mixing this sort of mythology, Tolkien's mythology, obviously, but mixing that. I'm mixing personal development. I'm mixing in my Christian beliefs and storytelling. Kind of that's what I do. So I thought it turned out really good. But I might change some things when I'm recording, and I try to lip the words a bit when I'm writing them, just to see how, and kind of get the flow of how I would scream it. But sometimes I'll change some things up just to help it flow better. So now I'm trying to decide. I think I might, just because it's fresh on my mind, it's writing something about burden of inheritance or bonds of fellowship. I might go with one of those next, because I don't know, bonds of fellowship. I just think about the sort of closeness you see between Sam and Frodo in the story, and a lot of people try to take that in weird directions, but Tolkien, he fought in war, and whenever I watch the movie and I listen to the stories, I see that kind of dynamic of brotherhood and being there for each other and helping each other, and that's where I think I'm going to go with that. The bonds of fellowship is we're always breaking the bonds of fellowship with people. I mean, I know in today's age, it's just, there's so much happening and a lot of things, and it's just, you gotta do what's best for your own family and break off certain relationships with people. But I know that's popular in modern psychology and stuff, but that's not necessarily what I believe. One of the biggest core Christian values taught in the Bible is to bear with each other and love each other, and forgive each other. And it's one of the disciples asked Jesus the question, how many times should I forgive my brother? And he's 7, and he's 7 times or something. And Jesus is no, 70 times 7 or something, which was just a picture of you don't stop forgiving them, and obviously you set boundaries, or you just, certain people aren't in your life as much anymore. But I think we just overuse that as an excuse to not bear with each other and forgive each other. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna approach. So I'm gonna get to work on it. All right, what is up? It is the morning after I finished the EP. I feel like I did a really bad job at documenting the whole thing. It's just like annoying because I just want to sit down and work. And half the time I'm recording from my phone, but I'm also using my phone to like write the lyrics on and stuff like that, rather than having to go back and forth between tabs on my computer. So I didn't really document the writing of the songs. I think I talked about one of them that I wrote, and I don't think I ended up changing that one, but I wrote and rewrote the songs, the lyrics for the songs, and that took me like a day and a half. Well, and I kind of rewrote a little bit while I was recording the vocals. So yeah, the longest part was writing the songs because I was just like conflicted a little bit, because I don't normally just write about something like lighthearted and kind of fun. I mean, there are more serious themes in the EP, but my goal was just to try and just kind of let loose a little bit and just have some lighthearted fun with it, and write some Lord of the Rings inspired songs. So the only one that's like really Lord of the Rings themed is the slaying of Durin's Bane. Well, I guess Disturber of the Peace is kind of. I mean, it's like I'm using all the terminology and I'm speaking as if I were Gandalf, but I'm speaking as if Gandalf were like a motivational speaker or something. And he's, you know how he kind of, several times he steps into the story to kind of just, like Gandalf says, all I did was give your uncle a little nudge out the door. Like that's kind of like his purpose in the story. I mean, he leads them, along the way for a little while, and then he kind of steps out of the way. And that's kind of like what he does. That's what sort of coaches today, motivational speakers, that's what they kind of do. They step in people's lives, give them a nudge at the door, give them like something to get them going and help them kind of keep on going for a while. And then they just step out of the way. And so that's kind of like the approach I took, just as if Gandalf were a motivational speaker. So that was fun to write, but it's also it's kind of silly and fun, but it's also like there's serious themes like take some responsibility for your life if you want something to change, like that kind of theme. And I think I used the line, I should just pull them up to look at them and talk about them a little bit, but you don't want growth unless it comes in the form of a block of cheese and some afternoon tea. And I just thought that was funny. So it's kind of silly and fun, but it's also like that there is seriousness behind it, okay? So yeah. There's also Bonds of Fellowship. That's probably one of the more serious ones. It's 5 tracks total, and then the instrumental versions. And I'm planning on doing, like what I usually do with all my Fire from Heaven music, adding strings and stuff like that. My alarm went off, so I got interrupted there. But I plan on doing a version where I add strings, and I'm gonna call it the enchanted version. So it's already released on Bandcamp, and it'll be on the Patreon. But I'm gonna string it out as singles like I have been, because I'm trying to release songs every week this year. So I thought about just dropping an EP. Like people are used to having like singles every week from me. Like if you're listening on Spotify and stuff like that, it's just all of a sudden like, wait, okay, he's doing a single every week. Now he just dropped a 5-track EP. But I think I'm gonna string out the singles, and just give every song benefit of the doubt. Like, I worked Even though I did this in a few days, I worked hard on these songs, you know, and I will say this, on my honor, I did not use AI to write anything. So, I was thinking about tying this video, like I wrote an EP in 3 days without the help of AI. But yeah, so there's that. It's up for you to enjoy, and I'm gonna put like a EP stream here on YouTube and string out the tracks each as a single video as well. So there will be that to check out. Trying to think of anything I could talk about as far as the process went. The biggest hurdle again was you know, writing the lyrics, just because I never kind of done something more lighthearted like that. So yeah, the instrumentals, they're pretty easy. I don't want to brag or nothing, but I am a wellspring of riffs. So that's why I called the EP One Riff to Rule Them All. I don't think I even mentioned that. So it's very easy for me to get through writer's block as far as writing instrumentals go, because I've just done it so much. But writing lyrics is not something I do all the time. So that's something that, and it was a little bit easier when it's like writing lyrics about my own stories. Like with the whole Hellstormer album series, I'm still really stringing out. I'm waiting for a lot of featured artists, okay? That's why it's taking a while. I'm doing a lot of side projects along the way. It's like, you can tell I play Skyrim because I haven't completed the main mission for like 2 years, which was the release of the Hellstormer album. But yeah, got all these random side missions, like I dropped This Is Gonna Hurt, When Legends Rise, Worthy of Remembrance, like 3 different releases. And kind of all strung out as singles, and then with the albums released, and now this one. So, and I plan on trying to do this challenge again next week. So we'll see how it goes. I think I'm still kind of going for like a hardcore theme. Hardcore is kind of like getting really big right now. It's not me trying to jump on the bandwagon. I like hardcore. I grew up listening to hardcore. Well, I didn't grow up listening to hardcore. Probably when I was like in my teens, I started listening to metal and hardcore and stuff like that. So, kind of trying to do the hardcore thing, but just with more riffs. So yeah, but they're also like, the songs are just short and sweet. They're heavy, destructive, and that's what I'm going for. And I think I accomplished that with this EP. And I plan on doing I'm basically doing the EP as a part 1, and then I plan on doing another EP next week, part 2 kind of thing to it, to get another album out there for you guys while I'm working on the Hellstormer album. And a lot of the work for the Hellstormer album is done. I still have a ton of featured artists who are willing to be featured on my songs. I told them I'm going to get music to them at some point. For these releases, it's kind of like a challenge to do it quickly. So, but don't worry. Like I said, I'm a wellspring of riffs. So if you're someone I've talked to about being featured, I still plan on doing that. Just kind of doing some side quests along the way. When I have a creative itch, I just go for it. I'm a unsigned independent artist and a solo artist as well, so I can do what I want, and it's pretty awesome. And if I try to, do something, try to make myself do something creatively, whenever I have an itch to do something else, my heart's not gonna really be in it, so there's no point. So where my creative itches go, that's where I go, okay? But I totally have enough content for an LP for the Hellstormer series. But I want to make this thing huge. This is one release I'm being more of a perfectionist about than I normally am. which I've released a lot of the singles, but pretty much all the singles. But I plan on revising them a bit, going back. All this writing and releasing songs like every week, I'm trying to exercise some of my producer skills and songwriting skills as well. So, yeah, but doing some of these fun side quests along the way. So, I hope you enjoy One Riff to Rule Them All. Stay metal.